But the first chapter I did was Bobbi Gibb, the Boston Marathon runner.
Yeah, that's a great chapter.
Yeah, I thought it was a good starting point because she's, it's quite a light story in a lot of ways. She doesn't die at the end. In fact, she's still alive.
Good. Well,
I hope she doesn't mind being called a historical woman. But the truth is that the 60s are now history. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter because it's just such an interesting story because it's so weird to think that as late as the 1960s, women were not allowed to do this thing that women now, I would say, do more than men, perhaps.
Yeah,
running
it really is. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, the 60s is quite a long time ago. I was born in the 1960s, and I like to think it's recent, but it is.
It is a long time, and it is also super recent. Like that's within my mum's living memory.
Yeah.
That event, that seems mad to me. That we think of everything as very progressive, and we've had all these rights for ages, but then actually it's not that long, really.
Yeah.
If someone's still alive and they can remember a time when certain things were illegal, abortion, whatever, then I think that's kind of scary in a way. That should have been a longer time ago, but
I think for all, for all of those issues, for all sorts of equality issues, it is sort of surprising with the homosexuality would have been illegal, and black rights were nowhere near where they are now, and again, most of these things still have some way to go. But yeah, so the idea that. I mean, was it kind of medical concerns that they had about women running?
The American Athletics, I think, what were they called? The American Athletics sort of group recommended that women did not run more than 1.5 miles at a time. Because yes, they thought it would be too dangerous for us to do that, which is so funny because it's like not even 20 years ago, women were doing all this war work, all this industrial work, and the idea that like the 50s had so reset everything to this weird kind of traditional women in the home kind of idea that the idea that a woman could go as much as 2 miles without dying was something people considered realistic is so insane to me. But there you go. I mean, obviously not everyone thought this, and a lot of people who ran the marathon with Bobbi Gibb were happy to see her, the men who didn't think it was mad that women should run 1.5 miles. Although I have to say, I don't want to run at all. So I'm actually being a real hero here by celebrating this, because if it was up to me, we still wouldn't be allowed to run.
Yes, that's fair enough. But Bobbi Gibb just ran, because there's a couple of stories, isn't there, of women running, and one entering under initials.
So the next year, Catherine Spitzer, I think her name is, I'm going to get it wrong, but she ran. It was still illegal the next year. So she entered under initials, so KS, and they just assumed she was a man because men have initials. And then she was the one who was actually attacked by the guy in charge of the race. And there's a photo of him and these two other men are sort of protecting her because she was running with them. But this guy sort of came up to her in the race and he sort of yelled, "Get out of my race," and shoved her around and stuff. And it's just insane that that's something that happened again not that long ago.
It really is. And Bobbi Gibb just ran, jumped in and ran.
She literally hid in a bush in her brother's clothes and jumped out as soon as she thought they wouldn't notice. And so very kind of truly sort of espionage style running.